Here we have a Stanhopea wardii that just opened up this morning, and yeah, I'm going to show the process of how you would remove the pollen from it, and I'm going to pollinate one or two of the flowers then with a Gongora amparawana. Show how that gets done as well. Let's zoom in on that pollen, where the pollen gets put. Let's focus. So first, just to make life easier for pollinating and also to help avoid that bees come in and pollinate the flower, I'm going to just remove the, I think it's called the hypochill, just like that. That gives us better access to the column and makes it impossible for bees to pollinate it, so that I can make sure that the pollen that I put in is the only pollen that it reaches it. So right here, that little thing there is the sticky pad that's attached to the pollinia. So you come in from behind, touch it, and it's still a fresh flower, so it's not that. So I'm just going to press it up against there, but then yeah, as you pull, the pollinia get attached to this bamboo skewer. Now I'm going to do that same process to the other 4 flowers that are on this inflorescence and collect the pollen, and then I'll come back and pollinate it with some pollen that I collected a few days ago from a gongora. I generally put them in like little 1-ounce disposable cups that I'll put in my fridge, and that's just a matter of then rolling it off onto the thing and it'll stick to it. Also, for anybody interested, that's kind of what the inside of the hypochill looks like. This is actually, I think, the major part where the scents get produced that attract the bees. So yeah, they tend to climb up all over us and try and get into this area here and collect the scents that they use for attracting a mate. Okay, now that I've collected all the pollen from all the flowers, I'm going to go ahead and pollinate it. I have this pollen that I collected a few days ago from a Gongora amparawana of kind of like a yellowish color. Some of them are more brownish reddish, but yeah, you can see in here there's all the little pollens. Now the pollen, the pollinias from the gongora are considerably smaller, so I'm going to try and add 4 pollinia or the pollen from 2 flowers to 2 of these flowers, and see how it goes. I don't think I've ever done this cross before. I've crossed it before with Gongora claviadora and the related gongoras of that type, but this other type of gongora I haven't yet, so I'm curious to see if it'll work out. To get it to stick, I'm actually going to you can do this with a pair of tweezers, but I find it's actually easier to manipulate them if you just stick the tip of your bamboo skewer down into the slot here where the pollen needs to go into on one of the other flowers. Say, let's do it right here. That will get the tip of it wet with some of the like the gel that's inside there, and that will help the pollinia that I want to use stick to the tip. So here you can see I got a 2 pollinia. Those are from 1 flower, and yeah, they just get slid right into there, and because of that gel they tend to be a little bit sticky, so there's a lot less problems with losing them. I'm actually just gonna get rid of that anther cap because that's bothering me. And I'll get one more pollen. But as you can see here, because of that gel that's on the tip of it, that it just ends up sticking right to it, and I don't have to worry about tweezers, which can sometimes pinch straight through them. But here we go. Put another one in there, and that's it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the process of pollinating the Stanhopea. Another thing that may be useful to know is that if you want to use the Stanhopea pollen for, and I got a little visitor down here, my new cat constantly wants to see what I'm up to. But yeah, if you want to use the Stanhopea pollen for pollinating smaller flowers like gongaras, it's good to take it and trim it into small pieces with a scalpel while it's still fresh and soft. Once the pollen gets desiccated from storing it in a refrigerator for a while, it tends to just shatter almost like a hard plastic, and the pieces can fly all over the place. You might lose them, and it's just much easier to trim them into small pieces that you can use on a gongara while it's still fresh. Also, just to show you, I have here another Stanhopea wardii that is a little bit bigger, but I spread some seeds, I don't even know when, from some Stanhopeas, and these are actually all naturally germinated here, and the seeds were sown right here in this spot. And there's also some sort of leylinate. I think these might be hybrids of Epidendrum ciliare with something. But yeah, I find that around the base of plants of the same genus, you get a little bit more luck with getting ex vitro germination, probably because the fungus that is needed for them to germinate is already present. So that's what up here there's it. This is Corianthus. It's a small division of a bigger plant that I had, or it was a small. It's actually getting to the size where I'm expecting it should bloom probably pretty soon. Okay, yeah, I actually only pollinated the one flower, the one that I showed on the video, thinking I've never done this cross before, and because it's an intergeneric cross, there's a pretty good likelihood that it may not want to take. Other gongaras are kind of like I'd say it's like a 50-50 proposition. If they tend to always make a seed pod if the pollen is fresh and the flower is recently opened, but a lot of times the seed pods, when they finally do pop open, they don't have any seed inside. They're just kind of like empty seed pods. So I don't know, this will be a trial, and on a different occasion, I still got a few more Stanhopeas that are going to bloom before the end of their blooming season. I'll try this cross a couple more times with other Stanhopeas and see how it goes. But yeah, that's my color code for yellow. It tends to be gongaras within Stanhopea, Stanhopinidae, or whatever the family is of the Stanhopeas. And the green is then identifies the species to me as the Amparoana. Yeah, and I tend to just try and make at least one pollination on each inflorescence that I get, and spread the seed around when I get it wherever I think there's a good likelihood that it might germinate. And yeah, so far it's okay. Stanhopea seems to not germinate as well as gongaras for me, but I already got a few that have germinated, and even now this year, the first ones of my own homegrown Stanhopea wardii bloomed. So that's kind of exciting to me that yeah, just proof of concept, because these aren't really native to this area. They're native to areas that stay a little bit more humid than here. And yet, still, they seem to germinate and do well enough here. Yeah, here's some more Stanhopea that germinated next to a larger plant that I mounted here. The two here on the right hand side. I'm probably gonna leave them here, maybe separate, because it looks like there may be a few small plants here on this lower group of leaves. That's actually maybe 2 or 3 plants, so I may separate those out just so that they're not growing into each other. But the top one actually looks like it's just a single plant, so I can probably let that just develop where it is. And here you can see some of the still smaller Stanhopeas that are homegrown or germinated here in my yard. But this is probably, like, I'll let it grow in here for another year before I transfer it into a bigger pot. Same as this one. This is also one that germinated here in my yard. Now it's finally got a pretty much full size pseudobulb. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. If I might even end up just transferring it to a hanging pot this size. Yeah, and up here you have some that I've already transferred to pots. You can see here. It's mostly just I popped it in there with and filled the surrounding pot with pieces of charcoal, which it's really nice and long lasting, and yeah, seems to be working well for them. I've done it for years like that with gongoras, and they seem to do perfectly well growing in just pure charcoal. Okay, yeah, I hope that some of you found that helpful as far as how to pollinate Stanhopea, and just information on germinating orchids out in the natural environment in general. And if you got any comments or questions, please leave them down below, and I'll end the video with a few pictures of some orchids that have been blooming around my yard lately. Bye.